As I conclude, the issue of social protection are important. We have very many people in this country that are poor, that are suffering, that are losing hope. We have many children that are in despair. We have many systems that we've been talking about for the last 60 years. And I have ideas that we will discuss as we continue of how we can change how things are done to ensure that our people do not fall through the cracks. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, nominee. I'll now invite the Deputy Speaker to be the first to ask you a question.
Dr. Mutua, as you know, His Excellency the President has been at the forefront of promoting labor migration as a way of dealing with unemployment. And also secondly, because migrant workers bring a significant contribution to our economy through their remittances. And then you have also been Cabinet Secretary of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs. So we'd like to know how you leverage on those contacts that you made to be able to promote this. But before you proceed, and while you're at it, I'd like you to elaborate on two issues that have tainted your image. One is that you are closely associated to a Miss Judith of First Choice Employment Agency. There are clips of you introducing her to the President, and she's known, and it's even come to Parliament. There are petitioners from Uasin Gishu County whom she owes millions of shillings and has impoverished many young people in Uasin Gishu because she conned them out of their money. And this is in the public domain, so please explain to us that you will not fall prey, if confirmed, to this issue. Number two, you also had another incident in Canada where you met a public senior government official informally. It was not a formal meeting, informally, and had informal discussions. But when you came back to Kenya, you announced in the media that you have secured an agreement with Canada so they can recruit Kenyans. And thereafter, it was denied by the Canadian government. In fact, the Canadian government ended up spending 2 weeks at the Kenyan embassy to train Kenyans on what to say, the ones at the embassy in Ottawa, on how to behave and the things that are official and not official. So please explain to us those and tell the people of Uasin Gishu how they'll get their money back. Thank you.
Nominee.
Thank you very much, Honorable Boss, for your questions. Let me start from the very beginning. One of the things that I want to do in terms of labor migration is ensure that we have agreements. The challenge we have is that people, when they go outside this country, they go as by themselves. And at times they get abused and they don't get the right rates that they should. This is because of bilateral labor agreements. We have only signed 4, which were signed even before this government got into place. And we have another pending 16, 17. My move is to get close to 30, if not 50 bilateral labor agreements by going through the hoops. I have been able to do a bit of research, and the problem is the bureaucracy that we have within our government system. By working with my colleagues, and I'll bring it up to cabinet if appointed, if pass the vetting by this house, is to ensure that we break the bureaucracy so that we can move faster in terms of processing bilateral labor agreements, so that we can be able to get into that. Now, when it comes to the issues that you mentioned of a lady called Judith, I tend to remember that we had a function at KICC where we had different stands, and the stand of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora was next to the stand of Ministry of Labor. And I'd never met this lady in my life. But she was the one who was showcasing what the Ministry of Labor, I was not the minister then, was showcasing the program that they had of what was happening. And when the president came, we were told to combine the two issues of labor because of diaspora at that time. And I was there with my PS and others, so I was introducing the president to the people who were presenting. And if you watch the clip, I didn't even know her name, and she introduced herself. That was the only time that I ever met her, and after that meeting, I've never met her again. So I don't have any conflict of interest. I saw her stories later on about her. And those are things that you remember when I was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, I'd even called a meeting to discuss these issues of rogue, employment agencies, and we'll come to, it's an issue that I'll be dealing with squarely.
So you have an undertaking that you'll ensure that the people of Uasin Gishu who lost over 100 million shillings will get them, you'll investigate and get their money back?
I'll give an undertaking that I will ensure that the rule of law is applied, and if anybody has to return monies according to the rule of law, we'll make sure we follow the process so that people get their rights, because it is wrong for people to lose their money through con organizations. That. Now, the issue of Canada is what I would call mischief. When I went to Canada, I had official meetings, not unofficial meetings, and we had an agreement. When I got to Kenya and announced what we had agreed on, immediately an organization, a fake, so-called fake organization that was promising Kenyans jobs and charging them jobs, put out a notice of providing employment to Kenyans. The Canadians were not responding to me. They were responding to that fake announcement to show that clearly that fake announcement quoting the Canadian government was not theirs. It was not an agreement between the two countries. Because of all that, I even had a call from my counterpart at the time from Canada to apologize for the mix-up, because the way the Kenyan media, and it was just basically, they were very clear. It was one of the newspapers, a journalist took it and twisted it.
You or your counterpart? Who was apologizing?
My counterpart called me to apologize that this had been mistaken, had been taken out of context. That, and to explain to me that that was not the intent of the statement that they issued. Actually, they were supporting the agreement and the discussions that we had about fighting fake people who have been misleading Kenyans all over, quoting the government of Canada, to say they were not aware of that issue. And we're able to sort out that issue and move on and be able to actually establish systems, which I can discuss later on, about getting seasonal workers to go to these countries.
So what is the position with Canada now? See, when you left the ministry, what was the position on that point, on migrant workers?
The position of Canada now is that one of the bilateral labor agreements that I'll be following up is that Canada does not sign bilateral labor agreements as a nation with countries, but the provinces, according to their law, are the ones that sign agreements. And what we had agreed about was about getting seasonal workers for Canada. Canadians are looking for seasonal workers so that during the summer you can go there, you can work for six months or so, and then go back to your country. They already have many seasonal workers from lots of South American countries